Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. I'm delighted to introduce my guest today. He is the Minister of Works, Datuk Seri Alexander Nanta Linggi. He's the Member of Parliament for Kapit Sarawak for 6 terms since November of 1999. He's also the Secretary General of both Parti Pesaka Bumi Putra Pesaka PBB and also its coalition Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS. Datuk Seri Alex, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I want to start our conversation today by talking a little bit about the Ministry of Works portfolio. It is a huge portfolio that's landed on your lap now. I remember before the general elections, I think Datuk Seri Fadillah Yusof had said he had hoped to return as Works Minister after 2 terms. He said he had some unfinished business. And you initially said that the plantations and commodities portfolio was better suited for you might have a preference for that. So now that it's a month and a half into the job, how have you fit into this role?
Well, let me start by saying thank you very much for inviting me to this program. Yeah, and also I like to start by saying I'm relieved that I'm no longer in the Ministry of Domestic Trade, and that time it was called Consumer Affairs. Now it's called Sara Hidup. Why I say that? Because the stress level over there was very high. Because when I was in that ministry, we were dealing with everyday, every minute affair of the people. Yeah, not that I do not want to attend to the people's need, but it's very difficult because there are many things that that need to be done cannot just simply rest on what we can do at the ministry, because it involves the
I'm surprised
stakeholders.
That you think that ministry is more stressful than the Works Ministry, because the Works portfolio is a huge portfolio. Highway Authority, Public Works, architect, engineers, quantity surveyors, you're looking at everything. That's a big portfolio.
Yeah, you should be surprised, but I think you do not know. That's why. Because let me tell you, why the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs is very important. You know, if people just talk about that ministry, they always say harga ayam, harga telur, harga bawang. It's just more than that, actually. What about the domestic trade sector? During the two years, you know, the pandemic, all the businesses, people were affected badly, especially the smaller businesses under the jurisdiction of this ministry. Yeah, we contribute so much in domestic trade sector towards the gross domestic product of the country. But when they were badly affected because of the tight MCOs, people just did not realize. People lost their business, and they also caused other people to lose their jobs.
Right.
And then when the economy come back to be open and to ramp up the economy, then it was so hard for them to get back just like that. They need a lot of assistance. And all those businesses are very important. At one time, we would talk about essentials. People always think about food, sanitation products. I remember I was arguing on behalf of the industry. You know, these goldsmith shops, the small ones, the big ones, all of them. When we insisted this to be allowed to open, of course the other committees said, no, it's not essential. Hey, gold is not essential. But don't forget, people who are running the businesses, don't forget, thousands of people depend on their job working for these shops.
Do you feel like you have some unfinished business still?
I have unfinished business.
Okay.
Honestly, seriously, I hope the ministry is actually very important to the well-being of our people, the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs. It's not just about harga. Sometimes people laugh at that. The other thing is, I would say, the unsung heroes, wira yang tidak didendang, are the enforcement officers in that ministry. When I was there, I was a little really, well, not little, I was quite really unhappy with the fact that the enforcement officers of the ministry were not even listed as the so-called frontliners, you know. But without them, can you imagine? Panic buying would happen. There would be an issue of no enforcement officers on the ground, and the availability of essentials would not be guaranteed. And then What about the cost that will prices that will run wild?
Yep.
Nobody will look after that. But the enforcement officers, now headed by the Ketua Pengarah, Yazman himself, he's done a very important job, but people didn't seem to realize. And then people like to sometimes even insult them by saying, they're not doing their good job. I think that's not true. So talking about the previous ministry.
Right.
You're right, this ministry, yes, it is a big ministry in terms of budgets. Yeah, the Ministry of Public Works Department, KKR, Kementerian Kerja Raya, Malaysia. In terms of budget, yes, huge. In terms of responsibility, yes. I mean, life also we have to protect through by keeping our roads at the highest of safety levels. No doubt about that. And also when we build roads, we open up countries, we open up areas. No doubt it will be a catalyst, though not just a means of just convenience for people to move about. Yeah, no doubt, all those aspects.
Can we talk about the role of the ministry in keeping public works up to spec? So last September, Datuk Sri Fadila Yusof said that 60% of federal roads across the country have expired service lives and needs to be repaired. It's estimated to cost more than 3 billion ringgit. That's a lot of money. Has it been allocated for this time around? What was the plan for updating it?
Yeah, I was given a brief on exactly the issue last week by the officers, and it is very alarming that we know that we have to spend so much money to keep the standard of our roads to that level, but yet because of our shortcomings in terms of we may not have such a funding available to us that we cannot actually carry out the maintenance as we should, and that is to me is a bit of depressing in that sense. So Datuk Sri Fadila is correct. He has unfinished business, and you talk about his unfinished business. He and I discuss a lot, and we are the same party. We are very close as friends, and we are always together. And I've been talking to him. And I will want to continue his unfinished business. What
does that mean if a road has an expired service life? Maybe you can explain to us, because the danger is, what are the dangers if an expired road, so to speak, is not repaired if it doesn't have enough funds?
Well, the concept is, internationally, there is a standard of roads, in developed countries, every 5 years they will resurface, every 7 years, certain type of roads. And here we have in our country, 20-year-old road have not been resurfaced. But we're still lucky, they're still usable. So the danger, if any road gets, just like anything else, deteriorated, then it may fall below the certain standard, minimum standard. Then of course, what can you do? You can cause accidents. I mean, the least I can say for a road that will be happening. So if we do not have the kind of funding, we cannot maintain the road. So I think we will simply have to find some ways to make up for that.
Have the floods made the damage on Malaysia's public infrastructure worse?
The answer is very obvious. We have floods every year, and the most recent is just a few weeks ago. And I went to the places where flood have damaged roads in Terengganu, in Kelantan, and also in Malaysia. We are so susceptible to having landslide slopes.
So what does the ministry do? Does the ministry assess the damage after a natural disaster, or does it take steps to mitigate the damage before what we know is a yearly event?
If you're talking about preemptive actions, which we would like to do, but there again, as you said just now, and as you're already fully aware, it sounds like you know about it. I'm told by the officers that they have actually identified throughout the country more than 1,000 spots where landslides can happen.
1,000 spots?
Yeah. Landslides likely to happen. But unfortunately, we cannot take a mitigation actions or preemptive actions on because we're quite tight with what we have in terms of finance. So we would do, I'm told by the officers, we will do some mitigations, But most of the time, we have to be more reactive. That's very unfortunate. We should be more proactive. Yeah. So that is why in this budget, in the budget to come, I will always appeal to the Ministry of Finance that in terms of this aspect of things, in terms of maintenance, we will always appeal to have our more than fair share of the budget.
Yeah, given that you do need money for upkeep of infrastructure, our infrastructure aging, all of that kind of happens without realizing. You need to keep up the maintenance and the service life, as you said. Do you think that the government is as attuned to the urgency that's needed to keep up with public works?
Oh yes. I mean, don't forget, government ini kerajaan prihatin, also kerajaan perpaduan. We always consider people's convenience, people's safety and everything. Yeah?
I have to say that Malaysia tends to prioritize new developments, pouring money into building new things as opposed to maintaining, repairing, servicing the things that we already have. It's not sexy to repair an old road as opposed to build a new building.
Well, I maybe reserve my comment on that for the time being, because I'm just about 45 days in the ministry. I'll have to understand better why is it we cannot do certain things, we are unable to do certain things. But certainly, it wouldn't be right to say that the government is not really putting serious into maintenance. But putting new things as and when we think it's required, why not? I mean, the government have to ensure that there's a development in all aspects of the country, including building new things.
Right.
I can't say that is wrong, but of course, if we just do that and not doing maintenance, that would be wrong, yes. But I think some focus also on maintenance.
We're going to take a very quick break here and consider this. We will be back with more. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Consider This. I'm Melissa Idris. I'm speaking tonight to the Minister of Works, Datuk Seri Nanta Linggi. Can we shift the conversation to highway management under the portfolio of the Works Ministry? The multi-lane free flow MLFF, right? That's a new non-stop toll collection system that's going to be introduced in a few years. Hopefully we can reduce congestion at the tolls. Walk us through where we are with this. I understand that the RFID is the basis to implement this. Given all the challenges we know we face with RFID, talk us through the ministry's plan to implement this multi-lane free flow and the challenges of RFID currently.
Yes, like almost everything else, you cannot do something abruptly. You cannot just discontinue something abruptly and start something abruptly. There must be some kind of a period where you make it a transition so that it becomes seamless. That means we ensure convenience of the road users, and also to ensure that we do a little bit of trial and errors just to make sure that when we finally migrate to a new system, that we should at least be confident that, we've gone through as much as possible to ensure that the new system will serve the people better, a lot better than the ones that we are migrating out from, right? So that should be the principle. Yes, you're right. RFID is an initial move from the older system that into the coming MLFF, multi-level free flow. Now, talking about that, when I came in, I was given the briefing. They kept on mentioning multi-level free flow. I said, can we just change the word free flow? Because I don't want the pengguna, the user, to think that, hey, now it's free. You're not going to pay anything. No, it's not free. Yeah. So now we are changing towards MLFF, fast flow. The free, I want it to be changed to fast flow, so that people are certain and clear about what it's all about.
More
Don't
accurate.
you think?
Yeah, it's it's a better representation.
Small it may be that I've changed that. I hope that it will be better understood, and also minimize the stress of people not understanding it later on.
Okay.
And,
So the goal is MLFF.
yes,
Right now we have RFID as a transition.
that's right.
Okay. What are the issues with RFID right now that need to be resolved before we can migrate to this better fast flow system?
Yeah, as I said, let it be for a while. Let's see where the technicalities of that new system. Yeah, I can't say specifically what, but so far I've been told it is doing quite good. Yeah. Now you might have heard some users complaining, why do the authority not be consistent in placing at the toll, whether it's on the left side, on the right side, or the center, the RFID. I brought up the matter with the officers concerned, and they explained, and I believe that they have thought about it, and that's why they do it. You see, certain lanes that use RFID may be on the extreme left, some in the center, because it depends on the exit and the entry point of side road into that, so that if a car comes into the main highway, yeah, if they are too close, they will not have enough time to cross the other lanes to get to the RFID lane. So that RFID lane has to be put maybe onto the left so that they can flow without endangering the other users. Okay. Yeah, I hope the users now understand this.
So the logistics determine where the lane is.
That's right.
Isn't the main issue with RFID the fact that the scanner at the toll booth is slow to detect the chip in the RFID chip? The fact that vehicles have to slow down to scan, so there's really no advantage to changing your smart tag because it's the same kind of slow down system. The idea is to just
you could be right, but again, has been explained. It also depends on where the users place the chips, so that the detection is more efficient. Yeah, so it is not 100% efficient yet at the moment.
Doesn't touch and go place the chip? I mean, wouldn't the concessionaire put the chip where it's most detectable?
Some people now can do it on their own now. Yeah, so it is important to place that chips at the right place on your vehicle.
Okay. How do we resolve this? I mean, increase the take-up by the public, because right now I think the RFID take-up is a lot slower compared to, even reverting to touch and go or a smart tag. You need the public's buy-in to migrate to RFID so that you can eventually migrate to the multi-lane fast flow system.
Yeah, the fact that we or the government have already informed the public that the target is by the year 2025 or thereabout.
That's quite quick.
Yeah, that the system should be on a multi-level fast flow. So the pengguna or the users should know that by now that we want to do away with the tax, yeah, and to implement the what you call that just a fast flow rather.
Right, fast flow. Okay. Just another quick question on this. Is the challenge to have the multi-lane fast flow, the fact that there's no barrier, right? You want to make it like the Singapore system where you just kind of run through.
Not only Singapore, other countries.
Other countries as well, but Singapore, the closest example I can think of. Is it true that this barrier-free system might not be able to happen in Malaysia unless there is very strict enforcement of a standardized number plate?
No. What is important is the technicalities. We can address the issues. What's most important now, even when we have the MLFF, also is the users must ensure that, hey, look, you should make sure that your account, you have money in there, so that there's no interruptions in when you go through. And this is also why what system we have now, we get slowed down at the toll plazas, isn't it? The fast flow later on, there is a system where even if you do not have money in your account for that moment, you can still go through. But you will be charged later on.
Do you think that it's only going to be limited to touch and go cashless payment systems?
Pardon me?
Is it only going to be limited to touch and go toll payments for this? Or
No,
are there any
multi-level
plans?
fast flow would be, there's no more touch and go.
But will it only be under the monopoly of touch and go, or will it be open to any
the
kind of
concessions.
the concessions? That's right. I know this is a Ministry of Finance plus Ministry of Transport plus Works Ministry.
Maybe I can't say for sure now, right? That's just beyond we at the KKR. We have to, what do you call that? Be together with. It's a policy later on, with the ministry, other ministries, Ministry of Finance, and so I think I would be frank with you that I wouldn't want to say for sure now.
But you have heard of the complaints or the grouses from highway users who often wonder why can't we have all the different options of cashless e-wallets, as an option?
That's possible, as long as later on. This e-wallet thing should be seamless. I think that's what you meant, yeah? So that one doesn't have to go to just be dedicated to only one or two concessionaires. But yeah, that I think is a big possibility, so that fast flow means, you cannot be tied down to something just exclusively, if I may put it that way for the time being.
It's about convenience.
Yep.
Okay. Very quickly, in the few minutes that we have left, I want to ask you about progress on MA63, on more autonomy for Sarawak. Just taking that angle.
That's so different from the
That is
highways,
a shift from your Ministry of Works portfolio and perhaps looking at your PBB portfolio. What do we know of the fact that the MA63 Action Council's first meeting is expected to happen in a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
What are the priorities?
The MA63, that is a Malaysian Agreement 1963, many meetings have been held before, yeah? And that is why quite a few achievements that we already have achieved, yeah. So, but there's some more to be achieved as far as Sarawak is concerned, or even for Sabah is concerned. But I thought more for Sarawak. Yeah, there are, from what I know, going forward, we are happy with the federal government up to this point. That have already acceded to our requests, and now we are enjoying what we have been asking for. Yeah, the letters being that the Kementerian Kerajaan or the jobs from this ministry of a value of 50 million and below as a first trial, I would say. We can't have it limitless for the time being. 50 million and below projects will be handed over to the JKR Sarawak, yeah, as implementing agency in Sarawak, technical agency in Sarawak, that's JKR Sarawak. Prior to this, even the project of 500,000 or project of 1 million still have to be decided by JKR here at the federal level. So that is an achievement, yeah? We all know that, that's been announced. Now, from what I can think of now, and I know that I've been informed also, there are another five points that we are pursuing from now onwards. That's we have always been asking for a right to sit in the board of directors of the Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri, yeah, and there's a membership in there because we think that, and we know that from the agreement that we signed that we are supposed to have a place in there, and it's never been filled in by Sarawakian. So we insist that a member from Sarawak must be in this Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri
on the board.
And we insist that it should be appropriately be our State Financial Officer, SFS, State Financial Secretary, because he would represent the state, represent the government, not just an individual or private sector put in there. Then there may be some questions later on what real capacity for the state. So we will insist on the State Financial Secretary to be the person from Sarawak to sit on the board of Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri. And then there is one more that we are pursuing, is a special grant under Article 112D, that the formula we presented must be the basis for any review. And this is to be agreed upon. We want to have a say in the formula. Yeah?
More autonomy in deciding.
More autonomy in the calculation and everything.
Okay.
Yeah? All right. And then, like I said just now, JKR. DID, Department of Irrigation and Drainage. Then we have what we call JBALB, JBALB, Jabatan Bekalan Air Luar Bandar, that's in Sarawak. These three technical agencies are to be full technical department recognized by the federal, so that it's easier for us to have project in Sarawak implemented by ourselves.
By being a technical department, you will have autonomy over contracts, certain limited amount of contracts, and then having that kind of urgency, the power to
These departments
execute.
are already established.
Understood. Yeah, but having that term, technical department. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Datuk Seri. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Time flies by quickly here on Consider This. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show. That was my conversation with the Works Minister, Datuk Seri Alexander Nanta Linggi, and that wraps up this episode of Consider This. I'm Melissa Idris, signing off for the evening. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.